Hey, thanks everybody for joining us for the Best Arts Podcast. Today we're talking about Venom. As usual, I'm here with Sam and Brian. What's up, guys?
Oh,
Hey, everybody. I sound more excited than everybody else here right now.
So I know this is one of the movies that both of you guys were super excited to go watch and review, right?
Oh yeah,
no
that's
one was
why
excited about this. What are you
that's
talking
why we
about?
took a month to get to put this out.
Well, part of that was your fault, Sam, because you wouldn't fucking watch the movie with me.
This is true.
So, thanks for being a jerk. I just want
You
to
We
watch
were
the
know,
so
movie with my
excited
friend.
when we mentioned at the end of the solo podcast that we stopped podcasting.
Yeah,
That's
we're
how
just
excited we were.
Right. All right. So, standard procedure here. Let's just jump into it.
Everyone fights, no one quits.
Shut up. Starship Troopers.
Rude.
Got it.
Rude.
All right. So can we agree that none of us expected the movie to do as well as it did? Can we all agree that like none of us at all?
Because it shouldn't. I don't understand why it.
I would slightly disagree with your statement, actually, Q.
Really?
Would you?
Yeah.
Well,
I think
history would show that Sony doesn't know what it's doing.
yeah.
And
I mean, this movie still kind of shows that they don't know what they're. Which
No,
is why I'm.
yeah.
Because it's not like it's any better than any other Sony that they put out for the Marvel series.
Yeah, and we'll get into like what we think specifically made this one, as successful as it was. But yeah, I don't think anybody's thought that it was going to be as good. I definitely had low expectations. The trailers didn't show me anything that kind of excited me, and I was definitely just watching this so that way we could, eventually trash it in a review because it was so bad. But
oh, you heard it here, folks. John was going to trash this movie regardless.
no, if it was bad, which I expected it to be, but I ended up seeing it twice, and I mean that's more than I can say about
Marvel movies.
No, not Marvel movies. That's more than I can say about Justice League or Suicide Squad. Like,
Yeah.
if we hadn't been doing Batman v Superman, the extended cut for a review, I probably wouldn't have watched that one a second time. So, so I think that speaks for itself in some aspects. So let's start with, I guess. Well, Brian doesn't want to do a play-by-play of the overall plot, which is fine.
Can we do acts? Can we be
Well,
here's the act
so
one?
the whole movie, plot-wise, is pretty fucking.
It's pretty.
There's really no reason to do a play-by-play. If you've ever seen a superhero / vigilante / revenge film, it's pretty much just all of those things.
From the early 2000s, yeah.
Yeah, one of the big criticisms, or one of the big things of note that I saw in a lot of online reviews was that this movie definitely hit a lot of tones and I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but it felt akin to a 2000s, early to mid 2000s superhero movie, which isn't a terrible thing because when did Iron Man come out?
2007?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, not the worst thing to say about a movie. I mean, there have been some bad ones, but I guess let's take it like this. Let's try something different. Brian, what did you think of how they introduced the symbiotes in this movie? They don't have the Spider-Man stuff to play off of. They don't have the Marvel stuff to play off of. They did draw from Lethal Protector and Planet Symbiote, right? I believe they were the two.
Kinda.
I
mean,
introducing
it was
them.
okay.
No problems with the spaceship crashing, which is how they get to the planet anyway by Jonah Jameson's son in the original comics. So very similar. Nothing too spectacular happens in the first act, in my opinion. Although I will say I give props to them for I think that they stayed true to Eddie's motivations, not in that Peter Parker and him were, had problems at the Daily Bugle, but Brock's character in the comics hated Spider-Man because he more or less felt that he ruined his life, right, Parker?
Yeah.
And they were still kind of akin to that in this movie, right? After he does the interview with what's his face and the main villain. I don't know the names of these people.
Elon Musk, evil Elon Musk,
more or less. After he was really scummy and logged into his fiance's computer and read fucking confidential emails, but whatever, got her fired.
He's a giant dick.
That
was the worst. It's like, Eddie, what are you doing?
That was really fucked up.
That's highly illegal.
Yeah, but the fact that they definitely alluded to the fact that after that interview happened, that it was the bad guy, and I'll forget his name because otherwise I'm gonna keep saying the bad guy.
Elon Musk. God damn it.
Carlton Drake.
That's all he was the bad guy.
Carlton Drake. So Drake, got him fired. He couldn't get any jobs. Blah blah blah. So I like that they kept with the whole like the reason he signed on to help that scientist that eventually approached him was more or less, part of it was a moral obligation because I think he was worried about his friend, the homeless chick, but then also this was a chance to get his life back and more or less get revenge on Drake. So very, in my opinion, similar, which I think is kind of cool. At least they, paid homage or paid attention to that. Trying to think.
He's just a good dude that just makes terrible decisions.
Yeah. The comedy was pretty good in the beginning. I had no issues with that. I was laughing at the when he was talking to the store owner lady, and she was like, "We need to watch the DVD," and he was like, "I would, but it's in Malaysian or Mandarin or some shit." Like, that was funny. I laughed at that. I'm trying to think what else kind of went on in that first area. Well, okay, we'll jump to this. How do you guys think the symbiotes looked, both in their like blobby forms and then in their humanoid form, more or less?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they looked better than they did in Spider-Man.
So the one of the issues I had was when there was a lot of action going on, particularly when it was Eddie versus human people. I couldn't stop looking, or I couldn't get it out of my head how bad I thought the CGI was when they were fighting the cops that had came to come get him.
Yeah.
With all the bright lights, which is typically something studios do when they want to mask CGI. The other scene that comes to mind is in Blade 2 when they have all the lights on in the background and they're doing a lot of the action scenes. That scene for me was kind of hard to watch just because I couldn't take my head out of saying, man, that CGI just does not look good at this particular moment. I mean, otherwise, when he's fighting Riot or when he's in a more like toned down situation, I had no issues with it. But that scene in particular, I had a lot of issues with. I don't know if it was just me.
I don't think I really had any major issues.
It seemed out of place. That they would be like, yeah, we got to get the gas thing, and it's like,
yeah, it was very deliberate to hide the CGI. Okay, so no problems with it. One of the things that it frustrates me that they sometimes did some really cool things with the symbiote powers, and then they did really stupid things, like really just annoying things. If I hadn't mentioned in a previous podcast, I really hated the trailer when he does that stupid jump on the motorcycle thing, and then he uses the symbiote to pull it back to him.
to reattach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was made even worse in the movie when seconds before that, Venom coats Eddie's hands in symbiote skin to pull the accelerator and to keep it going forward so Eddie doesn't back out. So it makes even less sense that he's taking control of the giving it gas, and then still somehow manages to let the motorcycle go, all to just show a stupid effect. And I say it's a stupid effect because the scene where he freaks out and tells Venom to help him, and Venom and it's a Batman. I remember it from Arkham City or Asylum, whatever, or even the earlier Batman games. Right, he does the grapple hook to the post and swings around. I've seen it before, but it was cool to see him do that and then spread his body out on the ground to absorb, the damage the motorcycle would have taken. That was kind of cool. Some of the stuff when he was crashing the cars, I think, was really cool. But like I said, every now and then they just do something really dumb with his powers. And I didn't like it.
You have to. Can we talk about the? I know we talked about this, Sean, but the fucking drones kamikaze into.
Why? Who made that decision at the studio? Q. We didn't talk about this. Me and Sam talked about it. They sent drones after him while he's on the motorcycle, and anywhere from I think maybe a dozen drones.
Yeah.
And in order to capture, quote him, they would just dive bomb him and explode. Why? Those are obviously expensive, right? They have some sort of. They're not only are they drones, they've got camera, GPS. Obviously some sort of explosive built into them. Why would you invest in something for surveillance that just I'm going to dive bomb myself? It's stupid. I kept counting, and I was just why are you wasting your money like this?
They spared no expense.
Fucking dumb, dude.
So what you did there.
Jeez. But so that scene, and also speaking of that scene, that chase scene lasted a little bit too long for me.
I could see that.
Personally.
Yeah, it was a little too drawn out, but that's kind of how I felt about most of it.
Fair enough. So
it was I'm just gonna go with generalizations because it was so generic and it's been so long since it came out that I don't care.
Yeah.
But just so much of that movie was just bland, had very little personality. And I don't say that because I hate the film. I'm just disappointed that it wasn't better.
Fair enough.
Because Venom, my favorite comic book characters.
Well, so you say bland, no character. My next question is, how did you feel about Eddie and Venom's interactions? Because I think for a lot of people, what saved the movie or what made it so successful was that they had Tom Hardy playing Eddie Brock, and the interactions between Eddie and Venom, and then even Eddie and his fiance, what's her name? Annie? Yeah. Or Anne, A-N-N-E.
Tom Hardy did a really good job with the character. It's just, I was disappointed because Tom Hardy did a fine job with the character, but he was still playing a character in a film that didn't really have a purpose.
Fair enough.
It just kind of seemed like the plot ambled around because they wanted to do cool things with the symbiote without really knowing what they wanted to do with the symbiote.
The overall movie, yeah. I mean, I like the interactions with him and Venom. Some of the effects, like after Eddie got knocked off the bike and had broken limbs, and the symbiote sprouts out of him and kind of brings him back together. And then when they were talking on the buoy, that kind of stuff was kind of cool to me.
I think that a lot of the problem comes from the fact that they wanted to make it a standalone film and not have it tie to Spider-Man directly.
Yeah, I don't know. Again,
because Spider-Man is such a big part of Venom's story that not having at all just seems like a bad decision.
Well, and I kind of look at it the same way. I kind of look at it the same way that I think I've explained before about how I have to get over certain things personally with a lot of comic book movies or TV shows. Originally I didn't want to watch Gotham because in almost none of his lore that I'm aware of, right? I'm sure there might be comics about it, but at least in none of the comics that I've been aware of, do any of the events with the villains take place when Bruce is a kid. And that's not a thing that exists. But in this specific universe, in this specific iteration of it, this version of it has these events unfold like this, more or less an alternate kind of timeline. And
right, but they haven't said anything to discredit the idea that they're set in the same universe is the problem that I have.
Fair enough. And we'll have to see whether or not they combine them eventually.
Because it kind of makes me feel like they're wanting to do this thing, but Marvel's like, no.
Yeah, right. So Eddie and Brock, so we talked about that. What about... kind of racing through some stuff.
I will say that part of the reason I didn't want to see this movie is I kind of felt like they're just making this basically everything that Q said. But when I was watching the reviews for it, a lot of people were saying, yeah, if you actually go in and see it as a buddy cop movie and just kind of excuse everything else, you'll actually have a decent time. And I had a decent time with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it was like, if I'm looking at it as a comic book movie, I was like, oh my God, this is the worst. But I really did enjoy Tom Hardy and Venom interacting with each other. And even the stupid things, like when he jumped off, like he wouldn't jump off the roof, right?
That was funny.
When he called him a pussy, I'm like, that doesn't make... He would have no knowledge of that word or context or anything. So that's the dumb. But you know what?
He's in Eddie's brain. No, that part was funny as shit to me. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I laughed.
I guess. I was just like, this made no damn sense, but whatever. I'll go with it.
His interactions with Annie. It's got to be Annie, right? Annie.
Just call her Annie.
Whatever.
Anne and E. That would be Anne.
Okay, and we're pretty fun to me, especially after he got Venom, because he always had that kind of voice in the background, kind of telling him what he needs to do or what he should do or what he should say.
Yeah,
I thought that was enjoyable.
Yeah, that's what I remember seeing a review, and they were like, "Yeah, Venom's like, you should talk to her." And then when they have their moment, he's like, "Oh," and I was like, "Okay, I need to actually see this movie because this is convincing me to see this."
What did you guys think of the villain overall? I'm pretty sure Brian's answer is going to be generic bad guy.
Yeah,
but can
generic bad guy in a suit that looks exactly like the hero.
Nothing else. What
it's almost like it repeated the exact same formula that they've used in all those old Marvel films.
What they no input on what they could have done to make it better?
Anything?
Not that.
God damn it, Brian. Yeah.
Look, like, if you're gonna do symbiotes, at least have symbiotes that people are gonna recognize. If they really wanted to go the whole route of having a villain symbiote, they should have just sprung for Carnage instead of trying to set up for Carnage next film.
Maybe having Carnage at the end was like them being like, hey, we know what you really want, and if you really want this, you're gonna have to pay more money and come watch the second movie, right?
Yeah, you're gonna have to get it.
But that's stupid. Also, can I say, like, just... I guess we'll...
You're cutting out. You're cutting out, B. I don't know what you're saying.
Am I?
Yeah, you were.
Yep.
But,
you said also, can
Woody
I just
Harrelson
say... Oh.
is just the worst decision for that character.
I didn't mind the brief interaction, but yeah, I'm worried it's gonna...
Maybe I'm just kind of burned out on Woody Harrelson after Solo.
And maybe you are, dude. Like, and that could be the honest truth. The last time I really enjoyed Woody Harrelson was in Zombieland, which was a long
2007
fucking time ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Yep.
But So the villain, yeah, he was hit or miss more or less. I mean, it was more so Riot and trying to get the symbiotes to the planet. Seeing Lady Venom was kind of cool on screen.
Yeah.
I think if they continue to do little bits and pieces of that, that'll be cool. See, okay, so I guess before we get to like the climax of the movie and kind of a couple other things I want to address.
The climax.
What is one of the reasons that this movie did well, and this is just my opinion, right? Is one of the reasons that it did well is because even though it was by a company that's done, cash-ins, especially on the live-action stuff, and kind of falls in that same vein of Fox a lot of times where they don't trust the person in charge to create a world or a vision, because at the end of the day, Sony wants to make money, right?
Yeah.
Most of these movies, even though sure, Infinity War, everybody was like, "Oh, I can't wait to see it," right? Disney isn't doing it out of the kindness of their heart, right? They're like, it's going to make us a lot of money, which is why we're going to do it. So Sony kind of falls in that same vein with a lot of these other, the Fox, movies and whatnot. But it seems that whoever was in charge, whether it be Tom Hardy and the people that he was talking to on the set, even though it was kind of generic, even though it was kind of bland, I felt that there was at least some sort of passion in the project that I didn't necessarily feel with any of the the X-Men First Class, Days of Future Past kind of, but Apocalypse was absolutely terrible. Like those movies definitely seemed like we're putting this out because, right, Bryan Singer was notorious for being reported as not letting any of the actors or writers have X-Men comics on set, right? Very much like trying to distance himself from the source material. And even though, again, a lot of this turned out generic, there were a lot of pieces of it that I feel were put in as kind of like, hey, we're fans of this too. I know Tom Hardy was pushing for this movie from the get-go, and he was doing all the tours and the press releases, just like, and you could tell he was excited about it. It wasn't forced. It wasn't, it didn't feel fake. And I don't know if maybe that, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on if maybe that kind of helped push the movie in an indirect way.
I didn't get personally any feeling as being any sort of passion project. It's that they had better people attached to it.
Sam?
Like, Sony didn't do a great job of handling it.
Well, yeah, see, I don't think Sony was the reason that this movie did well. I think Tom Hardy and maybe a handful of people on the crew that,
I think if they had had anybody other than Tom playing Eddie, it would have done terribly.
Yeah, I don't
and
think
that's just because Tom Hardy's one of the best actors today.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely carried most of that movie.
Gotcha. Yeah, like I said, the Lady Venom thing. The Lady Venom thing led me into that, but the Lady Venom was kind of like one of those things where it happens in the comics. It has its own sort of arc to it. So, like I said, it at least pays attention to some of the source material. What was I gonna say? So,
because if you had tried to make this movie back in the day when they wanted to make a Venom movie with Topher Grace, it would have failed.
Yeah, I don't think it would have done as well.
Yeah, that was
one thing that I've been saying since Spider-Man 3 came out, and I heard Todd McFarlane talk about it too after this Venom came out. One of the biggest problems I had with Spider-Man 3 was, sure, Topher Grace, whatever. I wanted to see Venom as he is portrayed in the comics, as this huge, big, bulky dude. And Spider-Man 3 did not deliver on that. This movie definitely did. Todd McFarlane appreciated it for that. And I know a lot of people, even though a lot of people appreciated that as well. It's something not small, but I don't know. I appreciate it, and even like I said, Todd McFarlane, who drew a lot of Venom comics, appreciate it as well.
Did you see him fixing Venom?
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty cool.
Yes, really good.
Okay. One of the other things that irked me
Like,
about
it's just like, there, that's how you do it. Problem solved.
It's all better.
you guys at Sony go do that. Take this, do that. One of the other things that irked me personally, if they had, and maybe I think Tom Hardy said they cut like 30 to 40 minutes of stuff.
Yeah.
If they had alluded to this more before the ending, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. But the very abrupt shift from Venom being like, we're going to destroy the planet to we're going to save the planet. So I know in the comic books, it's stated that on different occasions that while the symbiote influences the person that it is attached to, the reverse is true. Like the person that is the host also has some degree of influence on the symbiote, and over time, right, they sort of mesh, right? The symbiote starts taking on characteristics and personality traits of the host and vice versa.
Well, yeah. That's why it's a symbiotic relationship
No, yeah,
and not a parasitic relationship.
No, I understand that, and that's what I'm saying. If they had dropped more hints before the end, where Venom's like, "It's because of you, Eddie, that I want to save the planet," like, it wouldn't have felt so abrupt, which kind of threw me off. I don't know. I think it would have fixed that shift. It would have that transition would have been a little bit smoother.
Yeah.
The fight scene with Riot was cool. I didn't have any issues with it. I mean,
it was just there. I didn't.
Yeah.
I
didn't really think it was cool. It was just kind of okay. I guess it's happening.
The meat and potatoes of the movie for me was Eddie and Venom like interacting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I could watch just a movie of the everyday life of just those two.
Yeah. I enjoyed some of it. Like I said, the cool scene where Venom and Riot are like spread out fighting, and then also Eddie and Drake are fighting. I don't know. Little things like that are cool. I'm trying to think. I think we touched on everything in the movie that I.
Can we talk about the part where I laughed the most?
Which one was that?
It was okay. So it's right before the big fight at the end, quote unquote big fight.
Mm-hmm.
When Drake was like, "No, forget all of the security measures. We're doing this."
Mm-hmm.
And the camera just pans a little bit behind him, and you see this guy like at one of the controls, just like rubbing his chin, like, "Oh, I don't know about this." Like that, I fucking lost it. I was like, "Oh my god, this is terrible." But I enjoy the shit out of it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But like, even with as generic as the film was, it was still better than the X.
Yeah. That's not hard to do.
Okay, so we'll go to the ending stuff. So he keeps Venom. That part about
eating, I liked that final part.
The eating,
like the
arms
whole
and legs.
Him walking around. He keeps after he decides to keep Venom.
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing I thought was cool. Like if the movie had been more like that, it's just blah action. Like that was the big problem I had. Was it just felt like they were just doing these giant action set pieces throughout the entire film for no reason other than to have action set pieces. And I feel like if they had just gone with a more subtle approach, it would have been better. Like if they had made it like an espionage film instead of an action film, it probably would have.
Got you. Or maybe it touched on more of the psychological like aspects.
Like do a better job of portraying Eddie as a reporter and less about Eddie, the last action.
Fair enough. The ending stuff with biting arms and legs off, and that was still.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite line. Is like a turd in the wind.
Yeah, that was whatever. And then they had the Woody Harrelson thing.
Oh, that. Oh my god.
I guess we'll see what happens. I can't really say anything other than that because I had such low expectations for this first movie that I kind of want to approach the second movie with the same expectations and be like, Sony's gonna fuck it up.
Really
They always fuck it
don't
up.
understand how it managed to be as successful as it was. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
there wasn't a whole lot out box office at the time, so there's that.
I mean, it was. I don't know. It was dumb fun.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like I can't like. It didn't DC it up where it took itself too seriously. Where they were like, this is gonna
or
be
Marvel
super fucking gritty, right? They didn't DC.
I still
it up
want
there.
them to just trash all of it and give me Venom Space Knight, the Galaxy.
Maybe one day. Maybe he'll help.
Possibly
maybe
consider
he'll help.
actually going and watching the Galaxy.
Maybe he'll help form the Guardians after they're done. It was, I don't know, it was big dumb fun. It didn't take itself too seriously. It had a great lead actor, and I don't know. Like I said, it's this weird anomaly, in my opinion.
I think I'm gonna agree with you, John, that it was just dumb fun, and if you just take that away from it and not want to go like super serious about it, I think you'll enjoy it more because I surprisingly enjoyed it a lot more than I was anticipating, just because it didn't take itself seriously. It was stupid as fuck.
Yeah.
And
I
don't know.
It wasn't like a major bastardization of the character.
It seems like they knew what they were doing. Like they knew, like, okay, we're gonna have to go with the script, but we gotta like do some stuff to just go with it.
Right,
so,
right.
Well, like some people,
I'm also willing to give the movie a lot of slack because I do Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Watched pretty much everything. I don't not watching it.
Gotcha. One thing I will say, I noticed, and it's a group that we referenced before, not that they'll ever watch it, but there was a group of people that were slightly upset. Or not, I don't know. They seemed a little, Venom sold more than Justice League, and they were like, well,
good.
Butthurt about it?
Yeah, more or less. Like, well,
DC needs to get their shit together.
Justice League was better than Venom, but like, I'm happy for Venom. I'm like, yeah, I'd rather watch Venom again. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's be 100% honest.
I could watch both. I'll admit it.
Look, I can watch parts of Batman v Superman. I can watch parts of Justice League. I can't watch the whole things. It's just.
You said specifically Justice League. Right. We're not talking about Batman v Superman.
You want to talk about when Riot is a more interesting villain than that guy I can't remember from Justice League. You're doing something wrong.
Oh, yeah. I was just calling him Stefan, but yeah, it's
Stefan.
You're doing something wrong.
Romance writer.
Jesus. Okay, so
I mean, on that note, I do think that Aquaman looks really.
Oh man,
for that.
Oh man, I can't.
Next month.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
For sure. Okay, so let's do ratings 1 to 5. Sam, you go first.
Oh, you jerk. Let's do. God damn it! I didn't even wait. You said 1 to 5. Okay.
1 to 5.
Thank you. That makes it easier. Let's do 4.
Forcing your rating.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because it's fun. It's like, and this is the part where I disagree with Q. Like having different genres of movies is good because the superhero genre won't get stale. And I think I enjoy Venom for the "it's so bad it's good" category.
Guess.
Fair enough. Brian, if you don't break up, what's your score? 1 to 5.
If I don't break up, am I
Yeah.
breaking up now?
Every now and then. It's fine. What's your score?
I mostly just want to rate it through Tom Hardy.
I mean,
Like,
that's
it's
fine.
pretty much entirely the fact that I thought Tom Hardy was great in the role.
That's fine.
Well, as great as he could with what was given.
Fair enough.
That too.
I mean, I give it a 3. I couldn't see myself giving it higher than that. I think some parts of it rate lower than 3, but overall, the fact that I paid to see it twice, the fact that
If we're individually rating scenes, then that Carnage thing gets like a 5.
But Brian, there will be carnage, or there's gonna be carnage, whatever.
Like, don't get me wrong, the idea of actually seeing Carnage on the big screen would be awesome, but not like that.
But yeah, no, I'd give it a 3. Like I said, very middle of the road. Like, 5 is perfect. 1 is absolute garbage. 2, I think, is I don't think people will. I think some people will get enjoyment out of it. Not everybody. 3 is very like, yeah, go see it. I think you'll be surprised, right? And I was, I can't. I don't know. I don't think I can justify giving it lower than a 3 or anything like that, because it did get such a positive reception. So
it wasn't a dumpster fire.
That's true.
I think it's funny that the same people who were screaming that the critics were wrong about Venom and that it was better than they thought it was are the same people that were screaming about the critics who were saying The Last Jedi was really good. So fucking make up your mind.
People, don't know what they're talking about. Yeah.
Can't
Surprise.
Can't have it both ways. Okay. So real quick. So next, what I'm interested, Brian. What does Venom 2 have to do for you to elevate it? Right. What does Venom 2 have to? Just a new director.
That's it.
Like Shyamalan.
Get a new director. I'd take a Shyamalan.
Oh my gosh! Shut the
Oh
fuck
my
up.
god! Yeah, no.
Brian
that.
Singer
Well,
does Venom.
Look, okay? I think Glass looks great. I don't care what it says.
Well, Glass can look great, but you can't ignore all the shit that Shyamalan has put out into theaters. All right.
Yeah, you
Sure,
can't
I
do
can.
that.
His films have been on the up.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's hard. It's hard to. So I mean, sure, by default,
everybody's breaking up now.
If by default he has the Last Airbender and The Happening under
Is
his
John
belt,
still here?
Sam, can you?
I don't think so.
Can y'all hear me?
Goodbye, John. Be well.
Hey, can you hear me?
It wasn't me this time.
It wasn't you. Oh, he's like gone.
He's like gone.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're still recording.
Probably. Oh no! Oh no!
We'll do it live.
Last thing he said.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Okay, we can hear you.
Bullshit. I was saying.
It wasn't me.
What I was saying was if it's hard to say. Of course, Shyamalan's movies are going to be an upswing. He has fucking The Happening and The Last Airbender under his belt. All right, like there's nowhere to go but up from there.
But he also did After Earth, and that movie was garbage.
Right.
And he did that one after those.
So again, he can only do After Earth is better. than
Yeah,
The
but I
Happening.
mean, like, this is getting off an
yes, it's
entirely different conversation.
Okay, well, because all you said was a new director. Like,
Yeah.
a new director to do what with the movie, though, is my thing. Like,
Fix it.
oh my god, bro, I fucking hate him. He's the worst person.
He is. He's
Like,
being,
okay,
he's
I
being...
have what it boils down to. Number one, Venom was very generic. On top of the fact that I felt like it didn't know whether or not to take itself too seriously or not seriously enough.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it felt like it was trying to be a comedy film while also being an action film, and it never really was footing either direction. So they need to choose a path.
It
Just
can
go
be
down
both.
It can't be both.
It can be both.
No, it can't. It's not Deadpool.
It can be both. But anyways, continue.
Yeah, but like...
Like, they need to choose a direction because Venom is not this half and half character.
I mean, technically he is because he's half symbiote, half human, but...
John, shut up.
It's a symbiotic relationship, Brian, not a parasitic. Fucker.
But it's just... It's not... He's not a character that I feel like you can really lean heavily in. Or if you're going to, you have to lean all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say comedy? Because you broke up.
Yes.
Okay.
Fair enough. Sam, what does Venom 2 have to do for you to kind of either, what does it need to continue to do to be a good movie for you, or what do they need to improve on? What needs to change?
This is gonna sound...
Keep everything the same. Just make the same movie.
I want it. See, here's the line. Here's the problem, right? I enjoy bad movies when they know that it's bad, but they're still trying, right?
Yeah.
I want them to up the ante, but I don't want them to get in on it like Sharknado, because Sharknado is just it's
bad.
Ugh.
Sharknado is definitely one of those films that's just bad. Like, it wants to be bad because it's
right.
self-aware, but it's just so bad that
it's just bad.
Makes it worse.
Gotcha.
Yes. And I can't think, I just want to say the Evil Dead movies, because the Evil Dead movies were campy, and I guess they kind of knew that, and they just sort of changed directions in Evil Dead 2.
What you're saying is bring Sam Raimi in to direct
no,
the next one.
Let's not do that.
Good.
Let's not do that.
And then we can just make it Drag Me to Hell 2.
No,
Venom.
no, because he doesn't like Venom. He didn't want Venom in 3. So
Yeah,
I'm
true.
not saying that. So bleh and bleh. But but basically, yes, it needs to go to the next level of like, yeah, we're still trying, even though we don't know what the fuck we're doing, and also have more of Venom and Eddie interactions. I think that'll be good.
For me, put more money into CGI. I need the CGI to be a little bit better.
Oh, that's part of the fun.
It's 2018. 2, I'm curious to see if it bites them in the ass that Eddie and Venom have kind of resolved a lot of their issues by the end of the first movie.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't have.
I think that there still should have been a little tension between them, so that way in the second one they can continue to explore it. I mean, they can still make it work, but because I do want to see more Eddie and Venom, but part of the charm of the movie was like the disagreements, the are you really
the interaction?
Yeah, so we'll see how the dynamic changes. They've got to focus the action. I think I don't agree with Brian that they need to pick and just go down an action path, but the action does need to be more focused, right? Trim down some of the longer action scenes, make it a little clearer what's going on, because in a couple of parts the action gets a little bit too crazy. Not bad, but just you kind of lose focus of what's going on with specifics. So
yeah, like the end battle was kind of
you don't want to Michael Bay Transformers it where you can't fucking tell what the fuck is going on screen.
I feel like if you just do the whole comedy action thing, it just feels too much like everything else, and I want it to be different.
Q, I just said what I wanted.
Well, yes, but I'm referring to what John's saying.
Fair
Well,
enough.
I'm responding to your response with a response.
Well, your response is responded to.
Whatever. So, and Dave, whatever they do with Carnage, it has to be. They've got to bring a game with Carnage, because I think they're restricting themselves with what they can do with Woody Harrelson, because unfortunately he doesn't have. Not that he's a bad actor, but a lot of time he falls into just, oh hey, it's Woody Harrelson as Woody Harrelson playing Carnage. Like,
they could go the comedy route.
Carnage is a serial killer.
Yeah, like I don't want them to go to the comedy route with fucking Carnage. He's not. He's
but
not like super happy murder Joker.
No.
But what did we get at the end of Venom? It was that.
No, he was etching Eddie's name into blood. That's not haha. That's.
He wasn't very convincing of like, look, I'm a threat.
Like I said.
Well, no.
They need, whatever they do with him, they need to bring in the A game. They need not fuck around with it. And, you know, that can be the contrast, right? If Venom can still be kind of funny and Carnage can just be like, I'm gonna murder you. Like, very, like, and that can be the contrast. I don't know. But those things need to be hit on for me. And I'll continue to go see them. So, I think that's it for Venom. I think we've kind of hit everything else. Anybody? Do we miss anything? I hit all the points I wanted to hit.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the best part of the film, which was the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, but that has less to do with Venom.
But it made me really excited for Spider-Verse, even more so.
Yeah, the next movies we'll be doing are, well, Sam and me are going to go watch Overlord. If Brian goes and watches it, we can talk about that.
Probably go see it.
Don't do it. No, don't. Q, don't give in.
Sam, Sam, you gave in. You were like, fuck J.J. Abrams.
And why would I not get... Sam, I thought it looked interesting from when it was
Really?
out. Yes.
Piece of shit.
I have to twist Sam's arm to get him to go see... He didn't want to see Wonder Woman. He liked Wonder Woman. He didn't want to see Justice League.
I said Wonder Woman was okay.
Wonder Woman was okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't say I liked it.
Fine. But you were like, fuck Wonder Woman. And then you were like, all right, it's okay. And then you were like, fuck Justice League. And you're like, okay, it's all right. And you were like,
I liked it better than Wonder Woman.
And you were like, fuck Venom. And then you were like, all right, it's actually, I enjoyed it. So I keep having to twist your arm.
Why do you think I'm going? Why are we having this conversation online? Get to the end of whatever you're going to say.
Fair enough. So Overlord will do Aquaman, and we'll do definitely. I can't not do Spider-Verse, because I've been talking up Spider-Verse on this fucking podcast for like 2 years now.
I'm gonna laugh if it's shit.
I'm gonna cry if it's shit. I'm gonna be like,
I'm gonna laugh so hard.
As upset as Sam was for Suicide Squad,
no,
it's gonna be worse than that, because I have been wanting this movie.
I want you to cry in the theater. That's how bad it has to be.
But I mean, the cast behind it is interesting. Like the fact that they've got John Mulaney and Nick Cage will be, you know, fun.
I still wish that they got Tobey Maguire to be OG Spider-Man.
Oh, in the animated show? That'd be kind of interesting.
No, in Spider-Verse instead of what's his face?
Miles?
No. OG Spider-Man, Peter Parker.
Yeah. Like you wanted him to do the voice.
Yes, instead of what's his face?
That would have been kind of cool.
Who is it that's doing it?
The guy from That Girl and that other movie that was really bad. I can't remember his name. He's a comedian.
Whatever.
They have John the voice for Spider-Ham.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's gonna be awesome. Nicolas Cage is doing Spider Noir.
Yeah.
Speaking of Nick Cage, we're gonna go watch Mandy, right?
What's Mandy?
God damn it! Shut up. You know what Mandy is. All right. So we'll end it there. Next projects are Aquaman, Spider-Verse. If they don't keep pushing fucking Dark Phoenix back, even though I don't want to see that stupid.
No, literally no, John. We'll have this discussion later.
We got to do it for our fans, and then obviously Captain Marvel and Avengers next year, which is going to be just so much to look forward to. So,
I'm not excited about it.
I don't care
as much as Spider-Verse. Wow, John. I'm supporting your movie, and you're making fun because I talk like this.
Yes, you do. All right, well, that's it. We'll see you hopefully in a few weeks for Aquaman and Spider-Verse.
It's not going to happen, guys. It's going to be like 20 years from now.
And then Bright 2. All right, catch you guys later. Bye.